Hey everybody, I've been doing some research for the most valuable comics list. I have my 25 books, I think, but I do want to put as much detail and sales history, especially on those books, as I can to make it, just that much better of a presentation. I've been looking at old price guides and magazines like this Overstreet Comic Book Monthly from November of 1994. So old, much like me. And anyway, there's this paragraph that I'm going to put up on screen right now that I'm going to read, which is crazy. So the title of the article is Record Prices for Golden Age. Mile High Detective Comics number 27, first Batman, $125,000. Mile High Flash Comics number 1, first Flash, first Hawkman, $100,000. Before I read the paragraph, I just want to point out that indicates that the Flash Comics number 1 was the second or third book to sell for over $100,000, which I had no idea. The previous record was the Allentown Detective 27, which sold for $101,000 previously. It was broken. The record was broken by the Mile High Detective Comics number 27, selling for $125,000. So, depending on the timing, the Flash Comics number 1 was either the second, $101,000. It didn't break the record, or it was the third, so it sold after the $125,000 Mile High Detective Comics number 27. So that's crazy. And let me just read you this paragraph bits of this paragraph, because there's really interesting books that were for sale in this month. None of them are at San Diego, which is what the rest of the article is about. Before leaving for San Diego, Four Color Comics' Robert Rogovin reported the following sales. The Mile High Detective Comics number 27 went for $125,000, approximately 3x guide. That's a new record for a comic book, as I mentioned. This book, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to look at the census and see if this book is out there somewhere, because it's not a pedigree copy. All Star Comics number 3, near mint for $45,000. And then the next paragraph is an interesting one as well. The Mile High Flash Comics number 1 was sold by a prominent Virginia collector. We can set a pool on who we think that is, because there's a couple of prominent Virginia collectors out there. It was sold by a prominent Virginia collector for $100,000, 3.33 near mint guide. The Lamont Larson copy of All American Comics number 16 was sold by Metropolis for $50,000. The Mile High Silver Streak number 1 was sold by Comic Heaven for $19,750. So it's a really interesting set of sales, and a couple of those pieces of data I didn't have before, especially that one about the Flash Comics number 1 selling for $100,000. It's amazing how often that book hits the heights, right? Because it's a great book. It's a CGC 9.6, but it was once the tied for the most valuable comic book ever sold, and at this point, it was the third most valuable comic book ever sold. Which, considering the number of books that are ahead of it on that top 25 list, it's pretty crazy. But it's traded hands, and it's an amazing book, so it makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to share that paragraph. I thought it was great.